Zoom. I'm new with the Zoom.
Okay, and then I am going to record it if you're okay with all of that.
Sure.
Because we want to post later.
Okay.
Elizabeth, are you okay with that?
I don't understand what that means.
I'm here too.
Good. Okay.
What does that mean? You record it and replay it? What does that mean?
We're going to post it later on social media if you're okay with that, Elizabeth.
Oh, should I just take my name off? No.
No.
I have a black and white screen, so.
That's okay.
Yeah, somebody on our website asked if it was going to be recorded, and I said I wasn't sure. So.
Yeah. I'm just glad that you guys could join us. And I am in the library. My house is not this messy.
My house is that messy, but I found a corner where it was clear. So.
I'm hiding outside away from you.
I know.
My kids are in the basement, so.
And it's not fun being in the library by yourself. And so I have the radio just in case I get spooked. So hopefully that won't happen.
Yeah.
And welcome to, I see some other people have joined us. And we'll make sure that we start right on time. And we're really excited to be doing this. So Thank you for volunteering your time tonight. And I'm going to moderate it, so hopefully I'll be able to scan and make sure I see everybody who has questions. So I'm excited about that.
So will they all appear on this screen?
Well, most of them will. And Elizabeth, you can swipe down at the bottom when we get enough people, and it'll take you to a different page.
Okay.
So you can see more people. Because I can only see 9 people on my screen before I switch to another screen. Is that how you guys are, Sherry and Jessica?
I'm right now, but I also have my chat screen, or my chat. Do I need to have that? Are people going to be asking messages on chat?
Yeah, and then I thought I would read those to you also.
And should we respond to them on chat as well?
No, I think let's do that verbally.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, that's fine.
Verbal responses. And then I have a couple prize books to give away at the very end.
Fun.
And I have some questions to ask. They're kind of hokey questions. And then to get the conversation started, I have a few questions too, just in case.
Okay.
In case people are a little timid to start the ball rolling. So.
I don't know how I got on this screen or how I get a chat. Oh, sorry. Shh, I'll stop. How I get.
Oh, no, it's okay. My husband was trying to help me set everything up. And
the main thing, if you're on a computer, up in the top, you can change from gallery view or speaker view. Speaker view is a big picture of whoever's talking, and then small.
Hi, Shauna.
Okay.
Gallery view is like the Brady Bunch where you see all the heads.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you have yours on gallery view? Is that the best? Sherry?
It doesn't really matter. Right now I have it on speaker view, so since you're big.
My head is huge.
Your head is big.
I know. I'd rather not have my face on here, but that's okay.
I know. It's good to see everybody. We still have a few people that are on the panel. Bryn is joining us, and then Jamie is going to join us. And then so we'll just wait a few more minutes. Sherry recognizes Shauna.
I've known Shauna for a long time. You're really close in age.
Well, my daughter started school today, and it wasn't because I was homeschooling her, because that is not the case at my house. I'm not as organized as you ladies. So it's interesting. She's up at Weber Middle School in Poudre School District. So they did take roll. It wasn't as loosey-goosey as the spring. So I'm anxious to get home and to see how it turned out for her.
Yeah.
It looks a lot different. You know, I know you guys do it too. You take that first day of school picture. And so this year I was like, oh, there she was on her bed.
Right.
Typing in a computer. Yeah, so it's a little different.
I heard
Welcome.
if they
Go.
should let them stay in their pajamas or make them get dressed for the first day.
I know. She had a 0-hour band today. And so I wonder how that went. I don't know, Sherry. Don't even ask me. I don't even know how that goes. That works. So.
Yeah, my niece was taking choir at Rocky, and she said she has a 2-hour choir class, but it's virtual. And she's like, I don't know how that's going to work. You know,
I
like,
know.
how are we going to all like sing together? And I said, oh, they'll probably figure something out. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
And I know, Brent.
Oh,
Go ahead, Jessica.
I was just going to say, I think everyone's just trying to make the best of it. And I think what's funny is all my friends who have their kids doing virtual school, they're all in their backpacks with their shoes on. But this year, all their pictures are with their kids like in dressed, but with socks. And I was like, you guys are like half homeschooled, you know, because you're wearing socks, not shoes in your back to school pictures. So.
It is. It's super fun to see. Hey, Brent, thanks for joining us. I know we probably have a ton of questions. I'm waiting on one more person, but Jamie will join us when she can. And so I'll go ahead and welcome everybody. The library is really excited to have this opportunity to have these experienced homeschoolers here to share their wisdom with you guys tonight. And our goal for the library is just to provide resources for you as you start on this journey. And so I want to introduce the 4 ladies that we have joining us. Before I do that, though, I just want to mention that my name is Beth Goodmestead, not Amy Phillips. The library Zoom account is under Amy's name, and I don't know how to go in and change it. So my name is Beth, and I'm the supervisor of children's services here at Loveland Public Library. My Zoom account only allows us 40 minutes, so a professional account allows us multiple hours. So that's why I asked Amy to help me set up this meeting. I'm going to be the moderator. I have no wisdom to share on homeschooling. So I will be the moderator. Please just raise your hand if you have a question and I'll get to you. And then also, if you want to use the chat option, I'm using an iPad and I know it's in the upper right-hand corner where it says more. If you click on that menu, it'll drop down and you can click on the chat. And you can just include it to everyone, and I'll try to read those periodically and get those questions answered too. Those of you that are on a desktop, is the chat located in a different area? Sherry, will you tell me where that is?
At the bottom.
At the bottom, okay.
Right.
Okay. So it'll just look a little differently. I know on the iPad, I can scroll to the right and I can see more people that have joined this program. So if someone's not showing up on your screen who's talking, just scroll over and see if you can get the gallery view of the other participants. Again, I'm moderating and I'll try to get everyone's questions answered. I just want to start off real quickly and introduce the people that have asked to be on this panel. First, I'll start off with Jessica Frank. Raise your hand, Jessica. She, just a little background info about her. She loves encouraging new homeschoolers and being part of a local homeschool community. She's been homeschooling for 7 years, and it has been one of the most challenging and amazing journeys God has called her to do. She homeschooled her 3 children ages 12, 10, and 7. And she also volunteers with a local homeschool group in northern Colorado called HUG, and that's Homeschoolers Under God. And then I have links to homeschool groups, and I'm sure each of the panelists does too. If you want me to send out those links to you, I'll just need your email address. I'm going to move on to Sherry. She's joining us. Thank you, Jessica. Sherry's waving right now. She has 3 girls, 13, 9, and 4, and has been homeschooling for 9 years. She has an education background, and as a homeschooler, she's found that she leans towards a classical Charlotte Mason style. I'm sure those panelists are going to tell you what that means in just a minute. Her family spends a lot of time reading books. Yay! And after choosing to homeschool, she found that the first year was spent breaking her of the system, coming out of the education background, the public school background that she had known so well, and realizing the beauty of homeschool is meeting each of her children right where they are and turning everyday activities into learning opportunities. And that's a cool visual for me to see. Bryn, raise your hand. There you go. And she's had experience both in public schools and as a homeschooling family. She was a public school math teacher, not my strongest suit at all, and an outdoor educator for many years before choosing to be at home with family. She homeschooled her 3 sons for 9 years, and all 3 of them attended public schools the last 2 years. Bryn also works here at the library, so she may be a familiar face to some of you that come in quite frequently. Okay, and then moving on to Elizabeth Ridgway. Elizabeth, raise your hand, wave. She homeschooled her son from kindergarten through 12th grade. She has a master's degree in special ed and educational diagnostician. Oh, say that, Elizabeth, for me. I blew that word.
Diagnostician.
Thank you. She provides, and this
Testing.
might be helpful to some of you that are starting this journey, she provides individualized testing services for homeschoolers. She also has done kind of an intro to homeschool sessions, homeschool 1-on-1, and homeschool high school seminars for parents. So she is a valuable resource, as well as the other 3 ladies on this panel. She provides dyslexia tutoring, as well as in-home classes for homeschoolers. She's a homeschool coach with a 90-day mentorship program. And she loves encouraging homeschoolers and providing support as needed. Thank you all for joining us. And I'm going to start the ball rolling. Who has a question right away? Anybody? Take yourself off of mute. And okay. Nolan says, I would like the helpful links, please. Okay, so I'll send those to you about those groups. Anybody have a question to start us off? My question is to Sherry, Jessica, Bryn, and Elizabeth. Is a curriculum necessary as I start this whole process? Is it needed? What kind of advice can you give me? Jessica, do you want to start?
Sure. I would say curriculum is not needed for sure, but I think when you're just starting out, there are so many sources available that it can just blow your mind with not knowing where to start. And but for me personally, I kind of hodgepodged it together when I first started. I tried to make my education experience for my kids like a school. So I set up a schoolroom, and they had desks, and and I got workbooks and textbooks. But then as I've been journeying along, now we kind of do it's called Sunlight, and we read a lot of books, and we have a lot of discussions, and it's more loose. So I think you have to go too with your personality, what your personality as a mom, as a dad, as a teacher, like what are you going to be passionate about? What do you like? Because otherwise you'll just kind of, you'll be bored, and your kids will be bored if You know what I mean? So you have to pick something that you like that's interesting. But I think you can go with a curriculum if you're just not knowing where to start, or you can, you know, pick and choose the different things. So I'm sure the other ladies have other wisdom and input as well.
Elizabeth, do you want to say something?
Yes, we did start with sunlight as well. In testing, I found I test unschoolers all the way to people that use a very structured curriculum. Everybody learns. My latest passion is child direct learning or delight direct learning. And one of the books that I highly recommend is Passion Driven Education by Connor Boyack. And it just took the weight off of my shoulders that, yes, we can use a curriculum, but if my son's really interested in something, we can do that as well. And that just blossoms the educational experience.
Yeah.
So, excuse me, we started at a desk. We never ended at a desk.
Yeah.
We were under the desk. We were on a trampoline. We were on a bounce ball. We schooled in the car. We schooled on vacation. I mean, we were kind of all over the place. So you can learn, you learn all day long.
Okay. I've got a couple of questions. Bryn, how do you go from being a mom in the morning, getting the breakfast, this is from Marcy, getting people fed, and then you do that, switch that mode into teacher and student. How do you make that transition, Bryn? Oh, unmute, Bryn.
There we go.
Yeah, academically that is. How do you make that switch into that academic part of your day? Thank you.
We were very informal homeschoolers. So probably, is it Elizabeth, more in that direction? So when my kids were young, we followed a loosely Waldorf-based curriculum, which basically meant that we played lots of games and we were outside all of the time and we read and we read and we read and we read. And that basically persisted until my son was in 8th grade and went to school for the first time, except for we dropped the curriculum and we read and we read and we read. And of course, because I'm a math teacher, we always did math. And we wrote and we followed our yearnings, and we did lots of chores and we cooked and we had lots of downtime, and we spent tons and tons of time outside. So I never really took on that, like, I was not good. It's funny because being a public school teacher, I learned as a homeschooling parent that being a teacher wasn't really kind of the right career choice for me, because I'm more loosey-goosey and like to sort of flow more than I like structure. And so I guess what I would say in that light is that I think one of the most valuable things you can do as you enter into this journey is just really communicate clearly and think a lot about what you need. If you need structure, then create it, because you need to have what makes you feel good. If you're not so great with structure, then don't impose that upon yourself, because you're gonna bump up against it and you're not gonna enjoy it. If you need a really clean house, then be upfront about that and find ways to communicate with your kids that, like, hey, I need this, so can you meet me halfway? And I think empowering yourself to like communicate what you need in order to fulfill all those roles also empowers your kids to communicate what they need and say, like, I really don't want to clean my room at night. I like cleaning my room in the morning. And that might drive me crazy, but okay, I can meet you there. I fail at that, like, still most of the time, but when I remember to do it or my kids remind me to do it, then it's really an empowering experience as a family. And so I think the question to that really kind of comes back to just like finding out who you are and what you need and what you want things to feel like, you know?
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Bryn. Sherry, do you want to add anything to what Bryn said that is applicable to your family and that making that transition academically in the start of the day?
I think a lot of what Bryn said is so true. And I don't really wear a teacher hat at any point. I am just naturally teacher personality, and people that meet me see that naturally out of me, but I don't ever wear a teacher hat. I'm just mom who is guiding them on this journey of life. I mean, you taught your kids to tie their shoes and to go to the bathroom and all those skills. And so, but then they start going to school and we switch to only the teacher teaches and only mom does household things. And that's the biggest thing. It's just all part of life. And when you change the culture of your home into just being a constant learning environment, even doing dishes, you're teaching them how to load the dishwasher properly, even if it means loading it 3 times. That's your role as mom or as teacher in my eyes. But it is a transition. If your kids have been in school for years, they have a different mentality because they're used to the teacher teaching them, and then at home mom does it, and maybe mom can't help with the homework as much, so they're used to looking to someone else. And so that's, I said in my intro, part of it is breaking you and your household of the systems you're used to and just creating a culture of learning in your household. And so if it means math, it means math. If it means doing dishes, it's doing dishes. So there isn't really a transition from being a mom to being a teacher at our house. That would be my advice with that one.
Okay. Elizabeth and Jessica, do you want to add to that? No?
No, I agree with that.
Okay, I'm going to go on. There's another question, a couple more, quite a few more. This one is from Chris. Do you have to submit a notice to homeschool every year to the district? Elizabeth, Jessica, go ahead.
Oh, I'm not muted. It just depends what you decide to do, but you have to either you can belong to, and correct me if I'm wrong, ladies, other panelists, but I always submit a letter of intent to my school district. It can be very basic. It doesn't have to be the letter that the school district requires. So like my school district is Thompson School District. That's where my kids would go if they went to school. My neighborhood district, I should say. You don't submit it to the neighborhood school, you submit it to Thompson School District. Same thing in Poudre School District. And some school districts have a form, a homeschool form, letter of intent you can fill out. You can fill that out if you wish, but you also can just fill out a very basic form. And there's various samples that you can get online for those forms that just say, you know, my kid is going to be homeschooled, we're gonna follow the homeschool law. I can't remember what all, it's just very basic. Or you can belong to an umbrella school and then you don't have to submit a letter of intent. And there's a few others. I've never gone the umbrella school route, so I don't know if anyone else has done that could speak to that. Then you adhere to their school, their rules, and you don't have to submit a letter of intent to your school district. That makes sense. Did I do okay?
Yeah. Anything, do you want to add anything, anyone? I have a couple more questions about the paperwork. How do you handle testing with the district? And if you have a Colorado teaching credential, do you have to do testing with the district?
Beth, I was going to jump on that last question.
Okay.
I do register with an umbrella school, and one in the state is checked, Colorado Home Educators of Colorado. And then you just turn in your records and they will keep everything on file for you through the years. With the testing, you test every odd year in Colorado. And with Check, which is just one of the umbrella schools, they use every odd calendar year. So this year they will test all kids. Some people choose to test every odd grade, 3rd, 5th, 7th, and it's only after 3rd grade. Testing can be done. There's a list of standardized tests you can choose to do. I personally give the California Achievement Test online, the CAT test, and I just purchase it online and administer it to my kids and then turn in the test results to our umbrella school. There's a list of different tests you can do, or if you know your child is going to struggle with a test or you're not comfortable with testing, you can have a assessment done. And I know that's one of the resources Elizabeth provides, and you can get testing from her, or someone who has a master's in education or a current teaching license can do that assessment. that you can turn in. The other thing I would say with the letter of intent, it does not have to go to your neighborhood school district. You just have to
true.
go to a school district. So there's some school districts that are a little more open to homeschoolers, a little more friendly with homeschoolers. Also know that if they ask for additional resources or what curriculum you're using or things like that, you do not have to give that information. And there are several districts in our area that are starting to ask families to turn in that information, and legally you do not have to.
Does anyone want to add to the testing questions?
I will real quickly. So the other option besides the standardized test that Sherry was talking about, or the standardized test that I give that's one-on-one, you can do something called an evaluation, where someone with a teaching certificate, I also offer it, but somebody with a teaching certificate would come in and look at the progress that your child made from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year to the end of the year. And you just write a letter that says, yes, this child's making progress. So you don't get grade equivalents, you don't get percentiles, you don't get that kind of information, but it gives the information that the state needs. So we can either give them standardized test scores or an evaluation from an evaluator that says, yes, they're making progress. The only other caveat is, I believe if you have a teaching certificate, you do not have to do testing.
That was true 2 years ago.
I'm looking that up. I'll look that up for you and get back with you.
I believe, my understanding is if you have a current teaching license in the state, you do not have to do, you can either do the letter of intent, an umbrella school, or if you have a current teaching license, you do not have to do it.
Right, okay.
Okay. I'm going to skip down to a question about umbrella school from Chris. What support and resources do umbrella schools typically provide, and what are typical costs associated with them? Just because we've talked about umbrella schools. And I'll go back to the other chat questions that were before that. Does anybody want to take that one? Jessica? Sherry?
I can speak to Check, which is the umbrella school I use. I know there are other schools out there, and I don't know the specifics to those schools. With Check, you turn in your attendance at the end of the year to them, and it's just a spreadsheet that you just mark which days you did school, and then you turn in your testing. The resources you get from Check does offer, in the past, they've had a homeschool convention in the spring. We'll see what this spring brings if we have that. They also have like 1 day or half day seminars or classes that you could attend. I know last year one was on high school transcripts and how to graduate from homeschool. And so they offer those classes throughout the year, and you can attend those. The other thing with Check is they have a legal side that helps fight at the Capitol to maintain our rights to homeschool. And so right now, I feel like it's really important to make sure that we're aware of what laws are coming and what could change. And so Check does help. They send out emails that let you know what's happening at the legislative sessions and how you can help be involved and help fight to maintain our rights to homeschool.
Bryn and Jessica, would you like to add anything about umbrella, or Elizabeth? No? Okay, I'm going to go on to the next question. How to make, this is from Olga, how to make the best transition from school curriculum to your curriculum. Any advice on that? Moving from public to homeschool, I think is what Olga's getting at.
Co-create.
What?
Co-create. You know, there might be some like figure out where your non-negotiables are, like math. Just kidding. I'm not always like that. You know, what are the bones that you insist upon, and then co-create with your kiddo. And I think that sometimes, just depending on dynamics and depending on personalities, kids can be like, I don't know what I want to do.
Right.
But when that's the case, then just like let them be bored and let there be space instead of trying to fill it for them. And then curiosity will naturally come about. You know, take them to the library and let them wander the aisles until they find a book they like, right? But I think that co-creating, like think of it more like, again, what are your bones? And then think of it as a canvas that you're painting together.
I like that co-create word. So cool. Okay, I'll go on to the next. Oh, go ahead, Jessica.
I was going to just add to what I've found during this whole COVID thing with my own family, with just the different, having different boredom time or, you know, curiosities. My son has found some different passions of his, and he's 12, but it's been so neat because he has just been directing his own learning. And I think when they're little, sometimes you think like, I've got to get them to read, I've got to get them to do math, I've got to get them to do all the subjects, you know, and I'm really scared that if I don't do everything, especially if you're coming from a school background where, you know, the kids just had the same subjects all the time, I think you can just be really scared of letting go of that structure, or that to let them have that boredom time or that creative time. But I think if you can just kind of change your thinking, like this year, what can I do to kind of make it different? Like that co-creation, I like that. Just like, what can we do together? What can we learn together? What are the, like you said, Bryn, the bones of what we want to do? And then how can we make this year really special in a way that maybe we couldn't in past years because we were so busy and bogged down with other things, you know? And I think that boredom and downtime really makes kids, it kind of forces them, like leaving art supplies out or leaving some cooking stuff on the counter, or you know, getting out some craft supplies that the kids haven't seen for a while. I think it just gives them like, oh wait, I haven't seen these snap circuits forever. I haven't seen this microscope. Like, what could I look under, you know? And just leaving things for kids to find, it kind of sparks their curiosity. So anyway, just ideas, but I think it's just hard to just let go though of like, but what if I don't do all the subjects? What if I don't get it all in? Like, will they be okay? And I think the other moms, I think panelists would agree that they will be okay and they will be better for it, and they'll probably learn more from that. But so don't be afraid to try it, I guess.
I'll jump in on what you said, because I think there's just something to highlight is there's a book called Project-Based Homeschooling based on the philosophy of Reggio Emilia. And I'm not sure I'm going to get this right, but like one of their principles is that the environment is the first teacher. And so you talked about having art supplies out, like just listen to your kids, and maybe they're not ready, but if you hear them talk about something, then just like, instead of stuffing it in their face and saying like, oh, great, let's learn about the Stegosaurus, which like oftentimes makes them go like, oh. Instead, like go to the library and covertly get some books on some Stegosauri or whatever, and just plop them around the table and bring out some, you know, colored pencils and paints and materials that they haven't had, and I think that oftentimes when they get to be the leader, then they're more open to the learning than when we present it to them, and that's really kind of, I think, what everybody's kind of talked about, especially I think Sherry, like kind of deconstructing or sort of, I can't remember, you had a better word, Sherry, for you know, kind of getting ourselves out of that mode of there being a teacher leading all the time.
I was going to add, if your kids are elementary, you really only need like an hour of academic time. And one thing I do to help my kids with the boredom and helping them push through and figure out how to learn, we have focus skills. So each year I require my kids to come up with 2 focus skills. And at the beginning of the year, I help them figure out what those are. And then I help them find resources to learn that, but I don't help them learn it. And so my goal really isn't the skill, but the skill of learning how to learn something. And so over the years, my kids have done computer coding, crochet, watercolor, pastel, cooking, sewing, piano, all kinds of things. And some really take off and they really pursue it and get to be really good. And some they find it's not so interesting. But like I said, for me, it's not what the skill is, it's how they're learning it. So then I help them find a YouTube channel, or I get a stack of books, or I find a box tutorial or whatever it is. And they know they can't come and say, help me do this. They can say, help me find a resource to learn this, but not help me do this. And that's been huge for my kids. And I think kids transitioning from the public school, that'll be a huge transition to learn how to teach themselves and learn for themselves versus just having the constant instruction coming from a teacher.
I agree. That's wise. Thank you for sharing. And that went along with Chris was asking about using a more project-based approach to homeschooling. And what did you find was the most important things to be successful with this? So I think you guys nailed that question without even knowing it was a question. So kudos to you guys. Melissa wants to know, do I assess where my child currently is academically? Anybody? Bryn's not muted, so I'm going to pick on her.
Oh. Darn it. Falling asleep at the wheel. I don't know. I think just start learning with them. I guess, well, I'll put on my math teacher hat because math is pretty linear. And so there are, you know, you can't start with algebra when you're still working to multiply, but you know, maybe in those cases when you have like skills that you want, just pick a resource and get started without like being attached to the resource. You know, I mean, anybody else in here like used 10 different resources to teach a particular thing in a given month? It can be that I'm like short attention span theater here because I like to have new ideas and whatever. But you know, just try it out and see where they're at. And I think you find like a sweet spot in terms of like a word I love is productive struggle. You know, there's painful struggle and there's productive struggle, and like getting your kid on the edge. But also recognizing that we're all different learners. Like I have one kiddo that loves to be on the edge, loves to be pushed. And I have another that thrives in a zone of safety, always. And so I'm not gonna explore the edge with him. I'm gonna sit him specifically in a place where he knows that he can be successful. And so we'll work from that framework. And so part of it is just, is discovering, what makes, you know, your student, your kiddo tick. Like, is it getting on the edge? Is it following trails, going all over the place? Or is it really being in a safe place? And I think you just try things to find that out. The schools don't have the liberty of getting to sit on the couch and you know, read a book together, or you know, do math problems together, or play math games together. And so they use assessments to understand their students, because it's what works when you have that, you know, student teacher ratio. But as a homeschooler, you have your heart and your relationship to help guide them.
Good answer. Jessica, Elizabeth, do you want to add anything? Sherry?
One thing I would, if you're choosing like a math curriculum and you really want to jump into a curriculum, you're that type of personality and you think your child needs that, you could, most of them have a placement test you can take so that you at least have a jumping point where to start. But I think too often we box our kids in because we're used to, again, the system, and we're used to, oh, they're in second grade, or they're in second grade, but they do fourth grade math and they're reading only at first grade level. Like Bryn said, meet them where they are and just continue to grow. I like to say easy plus one, and that's kind of that productive struggle. What's easy, and let's constantly push for one more thing. Good
advice. I'm going to move on to Melissa's question. She's asking about free resources. She's found some wonderful free resources. Would you say the free resources are as good as a packaged curriculum? Elizabeth's shaking her head. Do you want to comment?
The ones that I've seen online seem to be. It just depends on what you're looking for, and there's nothing wrong with trying them.
Mm-hmm.
And see how they fit your family and your personalities and how your kids are learning.
Yeah. Jessica, would you like to add something?
When I first started out, there was this blogger, and I think she still has some free resources, some like free printable things, Confessions of a Homeschooler. She has some good, cheap resources just to kind of get you started, but she is a little bit more structure, but she offers like guides of what her kids are doing, what she's picked for curriculum, and she, so that was kind of helpful for me starting out, but then I kind of got more creative with what I was doing over time. But I think with what Elizabeth said, if there are some free resources that you can find that work for you and that, might as well try them,
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I would add to that is be cautious though. Like there's a lot of great free resources, but I see like download of 250 pages. Is the cost of printing a 250 freebie better than paying $5 for a used book? So just kind of weigh what it is you're getting as your free resource. And it just depends on your personality. If you're good at picking and choosing and piecing together, there's a lot of great free resources that are really good quality. It's not really a quality thing, I would say, more just your personality and what you're looking for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then what is the definition of deschooling for me? And then what's an opinion? And I'm going to pick Sherry just because of what you mentioned in your bio about having to kind of break you of the system from the public school where you came as a teacher, because in my mind, I'm thinking deschooling has something to do with that, but I could be way off. Sherry, would you like to answer that one?
You are on the right track. Deschooling is really just finding that love for learning. And it really, I'm sure there's many definitions of it out there. In my mind, what I mean by that is that first year when I decided we were going to homeschool and it was kindergarten, I had the full day planned out. I was doing circle time on the floor with my daughter. I had the calendar up. I had all the charts. We were singing all the songs. We're reading all the nursery rhymes. We're doing everything I knew happened in a slow day at the public school or even a private school. And what I realized is a lot of it isn't necessary because we were already reading the nursery rhymes during our bedtime stories, and we were just doing so much of it already, but I was trying to get it all in and I was stressing everyone out. No one was having fun and really not much learning was happening because I was so focused on checking off the boxes of what I knew kindergarten to be. And so really it's just taking some time, and like many of them have said, just spend time with your kids, learn how to enjoy your kids, have fun together, go out and go for a nature walk and just draw some pictures or write about what you see, or then go get a book about something you found. Just enjoy being together because that is a big jump for a lot of families. And then just learn how to have conversation and talk to each other and read books and have conversations about what you're reading. And don't worry about checking off the boxes or getting worksheets done. Just find that love for each other and that love for learning within your home that's how I would define it.
Yeah.
I'll put a plug in for books there too. Like we have this notion that we curl up on the couch with our young kids and read picture books. And I have, well, my 16-year-old's kind of checked out, but I have a 14-year-old and a 10-year-old, and we're still doing read alouds. Like read alouds were the backbone of homeschooling for us. Like we had 2 or 3 going at any given moment, and it was my way to sort of passively provide content, whether it be about specific subjects or social issues, or just wanting them to have like more diverse experiences with other places in the world, or who knows what. And that's just such a good connective way, and to sort of change the dynamic of you're doing and I'm supervising, to just like that, like
Together.
let's be on the couch together.
Jessica, you're unmuted, so did you want to add something to that?
Yeah, just the plug for the books. I think, we read so many books out loud together still. My kids love it. It's a favorite thing that we do with our homeschool day, is read aloud. I mean, that's our favorite thing. I think last year we read 30 books out loud together, and we've had the best conversations. And sometimes we do these things called poetry tea time, where we read poetry and we have tea and we wear hats and we, just talk about geography that goes with what we're reading. And, it's not all perfect. I think that I want to dispel the myth that, I get up out of bed and I'm like, oh, like, tra-la-la-la-la. Like, you get up and there's laundry to be done and there's cooking and there's, it's not, the tea gets spilled and, people are crying and people don't feel good, but there's also just such a rhythm of, with all of that, it's just that relationship piece that where, if people are sad or if people need to talk, there's time for that and there's space for that. And the good discussions around books and good books. And so it makes it more fun, because through books, you're traveling to all these places that maybe you aren't physically traveling to, but you get to experience it through the eyes of the author, and poetry, and you can have fun with it instead of it just kind of being like a textbook or like a workbook. And so I don't know, I digress, but I just feel like the whole book thing is just that has been just so amazing in our homeschool journey, and we still love that. And I guess I also want to say, I let my kids play with Legos, draw pictures, play quietly with blocks. If they're working on other art, they do that while I'm reading aloud. Sometimes we take turns reading aloud. So they don't have to just sit there and do nothing while I'm reading to them. They can engage in other activities as long as they're able to listen, and I do ask them discussion questions, and then they can respond to that. So, yeah.
How about socially connecting to other families? And Jessica, you're a member of HUG, and I know Sherry and Brent and Elizabeth probably are members of other groups too, but what did you do for that social aspect for your kids?
Well, it looks a little different now, because we're kind of limited in how big our group gatherings are, and so we haven't figured out how to have our weekly park days right now, just because of some of the rules. But I know people have been connecting on our Facebook page and getting together in smaller groups. But our park day, we used to have we want to get back to it, but have a park day where we meet at local parks around Fort Collins. And that was a lifesaver for me, just kind of getting involved in a group and being with other homeschool moms, other like-minded moms that I could ask homeschool questions to. And then we also do this Olive Tree. It's an Olive Tree school. It's an enrichment program where my elementary kids go once a week, and they do art, music, geography, PE, that was their social time. And there's a lot of groups like that in the area as well that offer those kind of things. But for us, the social part was just kind of connecting with other homeschoolers and seeing them on a weekly basis. I think that helped, because then my kids made friends and I made friends, and it's been my lifeline. So.
And just in my little bit of research, I noticed that there are quite a variety of groups in Northern Colorado to become associated with. So I can send out the information of the groups, and I'm sure if each of the panelists would go to the chat and type in your email address, there are people on there that want to be able to connect with you after tonight if that's something you're comfortable with, if you would do that for me. I know some people are definitely asking about evaluations, Elizabeth. So if you could enter that information, I'm sure there would be some people that would be willing to reach out to you. If you can do that now and listen, multitask. Nolan has a question. What types of proof do we need to provide to show to anyone that we're actually homeschooling properly, including hours and what we've been learning? And also, and another request for information from panelists too. So how do you prove that you're doing it properly? Sherry?
In Colorado, you don't have to. And so in Colorado, all you have to turn in is the assessment, or like Elizabeth shared, the informal evaluation or formal evaluation every other year after 3rd grade. And you just have to prove that you have schooled so many days, but no one asks or questions. You just need to be able to say that you've done it. I just kind of keep a file on my computer where I've just taken notes so that if someone would ask, I do have just a document I could pull up, but legally you don't have to.
Okay,
Right,
thank
right
you.
now, we're not a police state, so nobody asks you those questions, but I would highly recommend you keep a record, personal record, whether it's a lesson planner, whether it's a just documentation of what you've done, so that if somebody does ask, they don't ask right now.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to keep going because our time is, I can't believe it's gone by so quickly. From Melissa, I have seen CHEC, C-H-E-C, and love them, and looked into HSLDA. I don't know what that is, but I'm sure you guys do. What is the difference? They seem similar. Comments?
CHEC is the Colorado homeschool umbrella school, but they do also have a legislative side that helps fight to maintain our rights to homeschool in the state of Colorado. HSLDA is the Homeschool Legal Defense Association, and that is more of a federal legal defense, and you can get memberships to both. My understanding, the membership to HSLDA is kind of a legal retainer, so if someone would come asking questions, you can refer to HSLDA and they will guide that conversation for you. Both are good to help fight to maintain our rights to homeschool, both on the federal and state level. But the biggest difference is CHEC is an umbrella school here in the state of Colorado. HSLDA is a legal defense and legislative group at the national level.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. And I hope all the panelists are looking at the chats, because there's some positive comments about you guys using the term co-create and that productive struggle. Because Melissa's commenting about her daughter and loves to be challenged after she's comfortable. And she put LOL. So cool that you guys shared those terms tonight. Someone asked Amy if we could do some more meetings similar to this one throughout the year. I would love to, or some way to connect with other local homeschooling parents whenever we have questions, worries, or want to discuss projects, ideas, specific books, or even want to maybe do some activities together. And again, with the contact information that the panelists provided tonight, I bet they would be more than happy to help you connect with other groups or other families. Is that a thumbs up from all of you, Elizabeth, Bryn, Jessica, and Sherry?
Yeah, I wonder too if we could pool together just a list of our favorite resources. I spent so much time, I don't know if anybody else feels like that, like sleuthing out different resources, and you know, everybody has different needs, but I have some that I'm just like, just have a super warm fuzzy about, that I'd love if we maybe just could put together, I don't know what that might look like, Beth, but like a document that just had a bunch of links to, you know, we could do it by, you know, content area or
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. I will let you guys send me information. Sherry has a comment real quickly. And then I've gotten quite a few emails just from the chat. And if everybody wants to put them on there, then I'll get the emails written down and then I can just push that information out. Sherry, what did you want to say?
I would say another hidden gem resource in Loveland is Salt and Light Learning.
Yeah.
It's a homeschool used bookstore. And if you're trying to figure out, it's a great place to go and look and say, I need math. And she's got a whole wall of math. She may not necessarily have the exact level you're looking for, but what I like is you can go and thumb through different curriculums and really get a feel for what they are. If you're one of those people wanting a specific book, or if you're just wanting something fun, go and talk to them. They're experienced homeschool moms that work there. And so they are happy to have a conversation and help guide you to good resources too.
Okay, and Elizabeth had shared, I think it was Elizabeth had shared Salt and Light with me, and I reached out to Kathy, the owner, one of the ladies that works there, I think the owner, and she couldn't join us tonight because they're so busy getting everybody ready for the start of the school year that she says they go home exhausted. So please reach out. They're on Van Buren Avenue, North Van Buren. You can Google or just search on the internet and all their contact information shows up. And she would love to have you visit her, and she'd be welcome to answer questions that you have regarding curriculum.
Are
so
on
we're
her
gonna,
website.
oh,
Her books are on her website, so you can always search too. If you know you're looking for a specific book, you can go to her website and search, or you can call her. But she keeps a good record of what she has.
okay. Thank you for that, Sherry. I have a couple more questions. When you read aloud, do I read a book, you read a book? Depending on age, readability, reading ability, do you do most of the reading? I tend to do more reading. For those read aloud moments where you're sharing, where you're curled up, Bryn, with your 10 and 14-year-old, you're probably just sharing, huh?
I'm always just reading. I mean,
Oh.
the other experience is something else. I love to read aloud. Like, I think I sink into a book even more that way, and they just love to listen. Yeah, so it's never a two-way reading situation. It's just me reading. I don't know how it is for you guys.
Jessica, what is it at your house?
Yeah, it's me reading most of the time. But I will say too, because I think that intimidates people. They're like, I have a lot of stuff to do, and how am I going to read aloud? You know, but audiobooks are a great resource. And also you can listen to great books in the car, on road trips, on like when you're doing errands, things like that. And we've had great discussions that way too. My kids are just, they like when I read. So I'm like, ooh, let's do it. And I kind of check out a little bit more when I'm not doing the reading, because I'm like, ooh, I'll unload the dishwasher. Well, and then I miss the part, and then we don't, you know, so they're like, they know that if I'm reading, that I'm present. And I think that's why they like when I read. And it's just fun. I love it too. So, but I think audiobooks are a great way to, if it's intimidating for you.
Yeah. How about Elizabeth, about reading? Do you want to add anything to that?
We did the same thing. I usually read. My son does not like to read, but he still listens to audiobooks. And he's 20. He'll be 21 in October. So he's found podcasts and audiobooks, but we use Sunlight for a lot of the time up until I think 7th or 8th grade. And they've got tons of read alouds that we read. So either one, whatever works for your family.
And Sherry?
I at times will ask if anyone else wants to read. I have a 9-year-old and a 13-year-old, so they both are proficient readers. And every once in a while they will, but usually they ask me to read so they can color and draw and doodle while we're reading.
So cool. I would love it if somebody read to me every night. I might stay up a little longer. Let's get back to my questions here. Would you approach homeschool differently if your intentions were to return to public school versus homeschooling long term?
I think I can speak to that because
Yeah.
my kids are now attending public school. Nope, I wouldn't.
Nope.
I wouldn't change anything about it. My kids were totally prepared. From the outside perspective, if I said what we were doing, there would be people that were like, oh, what? They're going to be able to prepare. And they weren't. They all did great. And so follow your heart. Don't feel any fear. They'll do great. We're wired to want to learn.
Thank you, Bryn. Anybody else want to add to that? Jessica, Sherry, Elizabeth?
I would just say,
okay.
I was just say, I have my son isn't a reader, and he took a while to learn to read, and he had to get a tutor and all the things, and I would stress about it. But I feel like over time, even though he doesn't love just eating up every book, he listens to audiobooks, he does other things. But what I'm learning as my kids have gotten older is that the skills just kind of come together too. Like so all the stress and the worry that I put in the early days, I wish looking back that I wouldn't have done that, because I feel like Bryn said, everyone has a heart to learn, and eventually those skills kind of just, a light bulb moment comes on, or they learn how to cope in some way, or I don't know. I just feel like I'm finally seeing the fruit of that. But I think it's hard when you're in the midst of a child that struggles. You kind of feel like, what can I do better? What am I doing wrong? You know what I mean? It's stressful. So you're trying to problem solve, which that's not bad. But I think if looking back, I wish I would have just gone a little bit easier and just been a little bit more patient with the process instead of stressing so much over it. So
I'll add to that. Like, I have a kiddo that really struggles with math, really struggles. And he's in public school, and he still really struggles with math. And this year he's opting to try and level up a year, which is going to be super duper hard. But what I appreciate is that he doesn't have this pigeonholed mindset that he's where he's landed is where he needs to be. So I think sometimes having a more autonomous learning opportunity, a more autonomous learning situation can be empowering, even when things are really tough. That, like Sherry said, teaching your kids how to learn, giving them the opportunity to figure out how to learn, that they feel a bit more empowerment about how they can overcome the challenges that they face.
Great advice. Okay. It's 7:27, so I want each of the panelists to say something encouraging to the participants out there, or joyful, or something positive to get everybody pumped up. And then don't leave yet, because I have 2 homeschool books that I ordered, and I don't know if they're any good. I tried. That I want to give as prizes, and I have 2 questions to ask. And then if you can answer that question through chat, and the first one to answer it, then you'll win this prize, these books. So Jessica, a joy.
I would just say,
inspire us.
Yeah, you can do it. You can do this. Like, your kids better than anybody else. Like, you love them more than anyone else ever will. Like, you can do this. Like, focus on the relationship with your kids and just try to see them for who they're created to be, and just have fun. Just have fun with it. Just try to let go and just be like, we don't have to do, well, maybe Bryn does. We don't have to do math every day, or, we don't have to, we can have a poetry tea time. Like, you can do this. Like, you can have fun if you let go a little bit, and you'll be surprised how you'll like it. And you may want to continue doing it forever. You just never know.
Great advice, Jessica. Elizabeth, you're unmuted.
I would say the days sometimes seem so long, but the years go so fast. I would do it all over again. I would say enjoy the journey. I was a checklist mom until probably middle school, high school, and then I kind of let it go and got a little more freedom, like these ladies are talking about. And it's just a joy to have the relationship with my son that I have now that I would have never had we not had this experience. So just enjoy the journey.
Good. Fun. Enjoy the journey. Bryn, what do you got for us?
I'll go in a slightly different angle. When it's all falling apart or feels like it's all falling apart, that's when all the greatest learning happens. The more mistakes you make and the more like you just say like, wow, I messed up. This is hard. And you get to live that out loud for your kids. Those are actually the best learning experiences. So just put it all out there. And there's so much love that grows from that.
I love it. Joy, have fun with it. Make mistakes. Sherry?
I would say just find beauty in this year. There's so much ugly going on right now, and it's so easy to stress and get that checklist and feel like you have all these things you have to get done. And really, if your kids don't do a single math sheet this year, they're still going to be okay. And so find something fun to learn with your kids. Find something maybe that you've always wanted to learn and have never taken the time. Learn to crochet, learn to paint, learn to cook something, or do something fun alongside your kids this year. And you may find out that maybe you like this. When I started homeschooling, I never thought I was going to homeschool. It was not the plan I had in mind. And I used to say, well, we'll see. It's just one day at a time. And now if you talk to my kids, they want nothing different than the schooling that we do now. So just be open to what the future may bring. I know a lot of people are jumping in because of the panic and the chaos right now, but you never know what this could change the culture of your household and bring just the beauty and loving to learn and loving to be together. And I will say there are moments it's okay to be stressed out and frustrated with your kids, even when you love them.
Exactly. Oh, you guys, wise words. I learned a lot. Thank you, panelists. Thank you for bringing your wisdom, your knowledge, your encouragement. Even though Elizabeth didn't want to talk, she talked, gosh darn it. Okay. Panelists, you're not going to win these books, so don't even try. Okay, so this is my first one, minimalist homeschooling, and I think everybody touched on that tonight. Just a little blip. Your children can learn more while doing less. So my question to everybody, and I'm pulling up my chat, so the first one to answer it, this is an easy question. Is the library currently open? Oh my goodness, Janelle got it. Yes, thank you, Janelle. We still have people coming in saying, oh, I didn't know you were open. So let me make sure I have, yes, I have your email. So I'll make sure I contact you and we can schedule a time for you to come in and pick this up. And I can do curbside delivery too if you don't want to get out of the car. Okay, next one. And I think this was said a lot tonight too, even though we said deschooling instead of unschooling. So here we go. The book is Curious Unschoolers by Sue Elvis. Have you ever wondered how unschooling works? What do unschoolers do all day? Are they lazy? Perhaps they don't do much at all. Forget that laziness. We know they're doing stuff. Okay. So this gives you a little bit of information, and I would assume, shake your head, you guys, is unschooling like deschooling? Different concept? Okay, it's different, I'm wrong. Okay, here's my question for you. The library is open, there is no programming, we're just doing virtual programming. So, those of you that have tuned in, I want you to name one virtual program that you attended this summer. Go. I hope someone attended one virtual program. Oh, no, Nolan, you smarty pants. Okay, I'll give it to you. Nolan said this program. Okay, Nolan, you get it. I was hoping you were going to say bedtime stories with Beth, with Miss Beth on Friday nights, but nobody said that. Okay. Nolan, I don't know. Do I have your, Nolan, send me your email because I don't know that I have it. Thank you, Melissa. Okay, I'm gonna say good night. Nolan, shoot me that your email real quickly. And then thank you all. I'm gonna get that information out, copy my email down. You guys let me know if you want the links. Email me and I'll send it out. And Sherry and Jessica and Elizabeth and Bryn, you guys all have homework, and that is to get me that information so I can send it out to everybody. Okay? Okay. Thank you all. Good night.